When Darwin wrote on the origin of species on November 24, 1859, it was indeed a monumental occasion for the emerging science of evolution. Scientists were finally given a theory that they were willing to get behind, and like any new religion, its converts traveled far and wide preaching this gospel. This video investigates the possibility that science, and its greatest tenet evolution, are in many ways a new religion. How can I possibly make the statement that science is a religion? And more importantly, how can I possibly doubt that evolution is concrete, proven, and very real? If for any reason you have felt pangs of disgust or anger, then you should seriously consider how these emotional reactions are very similar to the emotional reactions that religious people experience when others question the existence of God. In this article I am not denying evolution or advocating creationism. I am discussing something far more important. It is interesting for me to see just how easily people forget their own history. 600 years ago, the Church held power over Europe, and to question God was a crime that was punishable by death. Many looking back at history may imagine that there would be all these large groups walking around, questioning the existence of God, and hoping for something better like science to come along. But the reality was that most of the people during that time believed in God, as many now believe in science, and the mere idea that something like evolution might be more real than creationism was beyond the ability of many to even conceptualize. It is a popular notion to think of these people in medieval Europe as backwards, definitely uncool. But the reality is that their notions were in many ways no better than the notions that we now have, no matter how much we would like to think that our beliefs are so much more enlightened. They didn't believe that they were part of a society that held silly opinions. They believed, just like modern people believe, that they were at the pinnacle of enlightenment, and that they held notions that were proven to be true by their current reasoning. Same people as now, same silliness, slightly different beliefs. Because of the current belief in evolution, it is easy to think that since medieval people existed in the past, that they were less evolved than us now. Evolution, after all, tells us that we progress over time, and just like we evolved from lesser apes, our earlier beliefs are less evolved than our current ones. But the theory of evolution can be contested, just like the theory of sequential time, time existing as a linear cause and effect model, instead of, for example, as spacious present or infinite present as suggested by modern physics, can be contested. Our belief structures are an amazing trap, and there are very few that can see outside of them. Facts, you must realize, are just beliefs that are taken for granted. I'll repeat that because it is very important. Facts are just beliefs that are taken for granted. And it is by studying our beliefs, as for example, the validity of modern evolutionary theory, that we can begin to grasp just how powerfully these highly entrenched beliefs, which we like to call facts, which are in reality assumptions, can alter our reality. While you might think that we have come a long way since medieval Europe, no longer willing to burn someone at the stake for their beliefs perhaps, we can though hardly be said to be civilized about how we deal with others that hold different beliefs from the current norm. Certainly people are no longer being drawn and quartered, but they are still being punished in other ways. Those that know anything about the modern academic establishment know that if you don't toe the line, that is, you don't follow the tenet of the current academic thought, you will be shunned and your career as a researcher will become rather difficult to maintain. The academic establishment runs on money and internal cohesion. Those that would endanger that cohesion or the money flow have found themselves in some pretty lonely waters. A good example of dogmatic scientific belief is the theory of evolution. While we might think that this theory stands upon a bedrock of logic and concrete evidence, the reality is that it is still a theory and there is no definite proof of its existence. If you are unfortunate enough to go into some site and debate evolutionary theory with someone, or even worse have had the unfortunate experience of debating these issues with a very staunch academic body, then you will know that their rant soon takes on a religious seal. And depending on how much power these people hold over you, a debate like this can be quite costly. But there are a number of large problems with the theory of evolution. Here are three that you might want to look into and contemplate. First of all, evolution requires that our planet be very old. According to most estimates, that is estimates put together by scientists using current scientific geological dating methods, the Earth is something like 4.5 billion years old. The theory of evolution needs this kind of time, because one of its basic precepts is that species changed over millions of years, in order to adapt themselves to certain environments. Without this time, unless mutations are happening much faster than evolution now believes, the theory of evolution cannot be proven to be valid. And yet, some scientists question these geological dating methods. Different dating methods for the Earth have come up with much different timelines for the creation of the planet. Some postulate that the Earth is far younger than what we currently believe it to be. These new and alternative dating methods are based on hard and correct science, and yet they will not be considered by academia, because many of these methods just do not provide data that fits into what science currently believes. You see, here is where we get into the part where science seems to no longer be a discipline of curiosity and questioning, and we start to see it for what it's becoming, an organization that is only willing to see that which fits into its propositions. While I'm not going to go deeply into any one of these points, I will recommend the book, Forbidden Science by Richard Milton. In his book you will find many of these refutations covered in greater detail. Second, a missing link has never been found. Evolutionary theory tells us that we evolved over time, that our early ancestors were tiny mammals that evolved into a distinct branch of life forms that embraces the monkeys, then the apes, and finally with us at the very top. Each creature evolving over time, and changing from one species to another, until we are the final results. But the reality is that the missing link, or any link from one species to another for that matter, has never been found. Many would consider Australopithecus and Lucy, one of the earliest Australopithecine discovered by science, in particular, to be this missing link. And if you were to go into the Natural History Museum in England, and you were to look at this recovered Australopithecus skeleton, you would most naturally conclude that yes, indeed, this creature does seem to be half ape and half human. The way this old and sparse skeleton is put together makes it look like it has a straight back, with straight legs, and a monkey's head. But those that know of paleontology's early history know that scientists love to rearrange bones in all sorts of different ways to suit their current ideas. Some scientists believe that Lucy is actually just a type of extinct monkey. Such scientists can take that same skeleton and rearrange it in different ways, which suggests that Lucy was not a bipedal creature at all. These scientists and these theories are ignored. Any scientists that push this theory are ignored. Third, according to the theory of evolution, life sprang forth when certain chemicals in the right environment presented itself. By sheer random chance, in a small pond somewhere on Earth, a few billion years back, certain chemicals got together and from this sludge, life was formed. Unfortunately for microbiologists everywhere, this is a concept that has never been replicated. That is, to date there is no scientist anywhere that has been able to take a batch of different chemicals and from them bring forth any kind of microbial life. So why is this ignored? There are many other problems with the theory of evolution. Explore them at your own peril. I say this because this is a very divisive topic that can be costly at times. Now, I'm not arguing for creationism over evolution. So please do not post comments trying to refute my arguments. I suggest instead that you do some research, and perhaps really read what the opposing camp has to say, and as you do so, try to see where you are making assumptions, that is, see if you can discover where you are relying on information that you cannot corroborate, or prove yourself, as I might be, in quoting data from different sources that I also would be hard-pressed to prove myself. In that note, I should mention that I am not taking a holier-than-thou attitude. I make assumptions all the time. All of us human beings do. This is how we attain ego consciousness. I assume, therefore I am. But if we can begin to question these assumptions that we all make, even from sources that we believe to be irrefutable, then we might discover some very interesting things. First, we might discover as I think is the case with evolutionary theory, that those irrefutable sources are not so indisputable. Perhaps it is a pessimistic view, but I don't think that we should ever believe without rigorous questioning what others tell us. Even if these sources have nice, I am a scientist credentials, or are sanctioned by whatever new academic or clerical body is in vogue in society at the time. Second, we might begin to take greater charge of our own beliefs and belief structure. And in doing so, we might begin to discover how to shape the very nature of our own personal realities. Also, don't comment thanking me for standing up for creationism. This video is actually about beliefs. A video that hopefully will help you realize, even if it's just a little, how powerful beliefs are in shaping our lives. So even if you are not willing to let go of your current beliefs about creationism, perhaps you might want to consider how these beliefs allow you to see a very different world from someone that does not believe what you believe. Perhaps you might begin to see how this belief structure that you have allows you to see some things while completely overlook others, and how this mental structure propels you into certain actions and situations that shape the course of your life. And if you can do that, then perhaps you can see how manipulating this quite personal belief structure might allow you to shape your future life and reality. Just in case it might matter, I do not believe in a mechanistic soulless world, where brutal survival of the fittest has created man as the pinnacle of evolutionary processes. I question the theory of evolution, and I question my questioning of this theory, and I think that you should too. Not because you should believe what I believe, but because we should all strive to question our beliefs. We should all do this so that we may understand our own cognitive content and how this shapes our reality. How beliefs can even turn people into murderous zealots at times. Is this important when we talk about the paranormal? It is extremely important, because the paranormal is what exists outside of the conceptualized framework of science. Science will not accept the paranormal because they believe that it exists outside of scientific scrutiny, and is therefore so much fantasy. They are right on one count: science can't see it. But science can't seem to find the paranormal because it doesn't believe in it, and therefore ignores any data that contradicts its current scientific notions, just like they ignore any hard science and logic that might in any way oppose the theory of evolution. Without an expansion of the mind, an expansion of the intellect, the paranormal will always be beyond science, and this is a real crime against humanity. Not because the dark and superstitious beliefs of our medieval period were better, but because we should strive to go beyond the mechanistic, black, and white conceptions that still rule our brightest academic organizations. If we don't, human growth will continue to be slow and painful at best. If you are interested in how the power of beliefs affect our cognitive structure, and how all of this literally shapes what we experience through our senses, please check out my book, The Occult Experience, available in the Amazon Kindle store. The book introduces a number of techniques that can help to disrupt the human cognitive routine, which is for the most part based on imposed belief structures. This book shows you how to change your perceptive patterns, and how to take part in the occult experience yourself.